Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and wow, let me tell you, the knockout stages are delivering some absolutely thrilling, completely unpredictable football right now. We're going to break down exactly what the data, the tactical shifts, and the recent match reports are telling us about this truly historic tournament. Honestly, forget everything you thought you knew about the traditional football hierarchy, because the script is being entirely rewritten on the pitch. The traditional giants are stumbling, and these rising nations are proving they've got the tactical discipline to go toe-to-toe with anyone. So let's dig into exactly how this is happening.
Let's kick things off with our first focus, the extreme knockout stage excitement. Okay, let's dive right into this. The knockout stage, it is absolutely peaking right now. We're talking a level of tension we just haven't seen in decades. Every single match is delivering incredible surprises, immense tension, and these crazy dramatic moments that have hundreds of millions of fans glued to their screens worldwide. We aren't just seeing standard football here, we're witnessing a complete disruption of the sport's usual flow. So, what's actually driving this? Well, the data points to a massive equalization in fitness levels and defensive organization across the board. The days of heavyweights just cruising past lower-ranked teams in the early knockout rounds? Yeah, those are gone. Underdogs are employing intense, coordinated high presses and sitting in these compact low blocks that completely stifle traditional attacking play. Because of this tactical evolution, there are literally no easy games left. The intensity has ratcheted up to a level that is honestly breathtaking.
You know, the top analysts covering the tournament are completely aligned on one thing. Every single match is now basically being played with the intensity of a final. This really reflects the total consensus that this is arguably the most competitive World Cup we've ever seen. The gap in quality has shrunk drastically. We're seeing supposedly small teams creating massive structural challenges for the traditional heavyweights. Just look at the defensive metrics for a second. Teams outside the top 20 rankings are intercepting passes and winning tackles at a rate practically identical to the tournament favorites. It's wild. The tactical discipline, the elite fitness levels they've cultivated in top leagues around the world, and just the sheer willpower of these underdogs mean that a single mistake from a giant, a single lapse in concentration, can instantly send them packing. It's basically high-stakes chess on grass.
And that perfectly sets the stage for our next topic, which is perhaps the biggest emotional breakthrough of the knockout stage so far, Mexico's historic 2-0 victory. 2-0. That scoreline against Ecuador represents pure, unadulterated joy for the home crowd. Host nation Mexico secured a truly stunning 2-0 victory over a very tough, really resilient Ecuador side. With this dominant performance, they didn't just win a game, they absolutely guaranteed their spot in the round of 16. But it's really how they did it that's so impressive. It was an absolute masterclass in handling extreme pressure under the blinding spotlight of their home fans. Mexico completely neutralized Ecuador's transition game. They dropped their defensive midfielders deeper and relied on these lightning-fast counterattacks on the wings. They absorbed the pressure flawlessly and punished Ecuador's high line exactly when it mattered most. It was a tactical triumph just as much as an emotional one. And this brilliantly illustrates the massive shift we're seeing. On one hand, you have decades of agonizing waiting, and on the other, historic knockout success. For years, the Mexican national team has carried the heavy, heavy burden of past tournaments, constantly striving to break past their historic barriers and that infamous quinto partido curse. The sheer weight of those past heartbreaks makes this specific win incredibly resonant. It essentially marks the end of that psychological burden. The players on the pitch, they didn't look weighed down by history. Actually, they looked liberated. It's not just a statistical win to advance, it's a massive psychological breakthrough that fundamentally changes the entire narrative for the host nation moving forward. They've proven they can thrive rather than fold under the immense pressure of a home World Cup.
But Mexico definitely isn't alone. Let's zoom out a bit for our next section to look at the broader landscape. Confirmed tickets to round 16?
We're essentially watching a classic David versus Goliath dynamic playing out in real time. Sure, you have the usual heavyweights, traditional giant teams like Brazil and France doing what they do best and confidently advancing. But they're being joined by a totally unexpected cast of surprise performers. Canada, Paraguay, Morocco, and Norway have all punched their tickets to the next round. These rising star teams are playing entirely fearless football. Canada is utilizing this relentless high-energy press, while Morocco continues to build on that rock-solid defensive structure that shocked the world 4 years ago. Norway's out there leveraging their sheer physical dominance in the box, and Paraguay is grinding out results with incredible grit. They're proving that the old guard doesn't have a monopoly on tactical innovation or mental toughness. The sheer diversity of play styles among these advancing teams is exactly what makes this World Cup so incredibly compelling. The drama, however, is far from over. Let's move on to our next section, upcoming high-voltage matches to watch. Let's move to these specific matchups and see how this builds, because these upcoming fixtures are guaranteed to deliver fireworks. They could easily produce even more massive upsets. First, you've got England facing off against a highly motivated DR Congo side that has been playing with absolutely incredible pace on the wings. Then, there's Belgium taking on the reigning champions of Africa, Senegal, in a match that is going to be a brutal, grueling test of midfield control and physical endurance. Finally, the USA clashes with a rugged, defensively sound Bosnia and Herzegovina. These matches aren't just formalities, they are massive stylistic clashes that are going to test the heavyweights to their absolute limits. The results of these specific fixtures will finalize the round of 16 and determine the ultimate power dynamics of the rest of the tournament. So, will the established giants survive these tests, or will the list of surprise performers grow even larger?
Which brings us to our final section, whose hands will hold the trophy.
As we bring this explainer to a close, looking at all the sheer unpredictability we've just mapped out, I want to leave you with one final provocative question. Which team is the biggest contender to win the World Cup this time? I mean, with heavyweights looking incredibly vulnerable to well-organized counterattacks, surprise teams playing completely out of their minds with deep tactical discipline, and a host nation riding an unprecedented wave of historic momentum, the path to the final is completely 100% wide open. There is no clear favorite anymore. Who has the tactical edge to adapt on the fly? Who has the physical endurance to survive extra time and the mental fortitude to handle the crushing pressure of this historic, unpredictable competition? Look at the underlying data we covered today, watch those upcoming high-voltage matches closely, and see if your predictions can survive the chaos. Thanks so much for joining me on today's Explainer, and keep your eyes on the pitch.